You want to go? I'm so glad to see you.
Well,
You want to hang around for a minute?
yeah.
Whatever you want to do. Okay, let's get back to this victim, rescuer, perpetrator. This has to be stopped because what I'm doing is creating a crisis inside my head. And it's a way not to feel my feelings in the moment, to distract myself. See, I'm not getting loaded off of alcohol and drugs anymore, but I don't even have to get out of bed. And I can create this crisis in my head. I don't know. Anybody else here can do that? A couple of okay. So the idea is to stop this and maybe journal on it. Write down what am I really feeling, rather than blaming somebody else. What am I really feeling? Usually, this is a little process. This giraffe talk called going under my hat. And this is what it's about. Let's say I have a hat that I go under. Something happens, and I go under my hat. And I say, God damn, I can't believe what that person is doing there. Such a jerk. You know? And I do that all inside myself. I don't say this to the other person. Anybody ever said anything like that?
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
Yeah. Okay. That way I'm not offending you. I've got my boundaries. I'm not offending you. I'm under my own hat, and I'm honoring my feelings. Man, I really feel distressed about this, and I don't like this. I feel offended or whatever.
Who the hell do they think they are?
Right. The next thing is, what's the higher feeling? Because anger is always a secondary feeling. So what's the higher feeling? For me, a lot of times it's fear. Fear that maybe you won't like me, or maybe I won't be able to live up to whatever your expectations are. It might be sadness. Might be loneliness. But find the real feeling. Bye, Lauren. And the next part is, underneath this, what do you wish would happen with that person? What do you wish would happen with that person? Pie in the sky. The sky's the limit. What do you really want to have happen with this person?
Communication.
Mm-hmm. But no, you don't have to tell them either. It's just, you could say, I really wish, that things would be resolved between us. It doesn't have to be as specific. Then go down to the last one is specifically. And right now, what I really want is, and then you say, right now, what I really would like is, I'm really hoping that we can make a connection. And I'm feeling distant from you, and so I'm wondering if you would mind if I take a few minutes, or if maybe an hour, or if we meet 4 hours from now, and we get together again and discuss this again. Because I really want to be present, and I'm at my wit's end right now. I'm wondering. Instead of telling other people, use the language I'm guessing, I'm wondering, or I'm imagining. Because I can't really read your mind, and you can't read mine. None of us can. Okay, what does this all have to do with the steps? There are values hidden in the steps, and these values allow me to have integrity. And because I have integrity, I can walk through a lot of things that are very painful with dignity, and I can also experience a lot of joy in my life today that I didn't used to be able to experience. So there's a real gift in having boundaries. And the gifts that I see hidden in the steps have to do with honesty. Not cash register honesty. The first 3 years in AA and Al-Anon, I secretaried a lot of meetings. I was living in my car. I didn't fit in at Serenity House. I knew I wouldn't fit in up here. You know how we all have those feelings.
Is this true?
Yeah. So I secretaried meetings, and I juggled funds, embezzled. I always covered my funds, but I juggled. Robbed Peter to pay Paul to survive. I ate out of garbage cans. So when I talk about honesty, I don't mean honesty cash register. I mean from my heart, from the inside out, with my boundaries honesty. It's self-honesty. The second value that's hidden in the 12 steps has to do with hope. Hope that I can be restored to integrity, sanity, holiness, wholeness. The third value is faith. These are values that I see. Other people may have other values. Faith, that I can replace this terror that I used to fear whenever I was in bars or drinking, I never knew when the other shoe was going to drop. With a conscious contact connection with my higher power. You taking off, JJ?
Yeah, I have an appointment in La Mesa.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
I'll see you next week.
Okay.
The value of the fourth and fifth step is about courage. Not the courage to face you, but the courage to face myself. 5 is also courage. 6 is willingness. 7 is humility. Humbly ask my higher power. That's not humiliation. It's humility, that I am teachable, that I'm not God, that I might learn something from you if you would be willing to share with me. The value of the 8th step for me is accountability. 18 years and younger, it's about going back and holding people who abused me or neglected me or traumatized me or molested me or incested me accountable. I am a precious child of the universe. I had a right not to be molested. I had a right to grow into maturity in a comfortable way. So did all of us here. So it's holding people who have violated me accountable. Do this with a therapist, with a sponsor, with a friend who is your guide, your spiritual advisor. I use John Bradshaw for my spiritual advisor. The 9th step value or principle is responsibility. The 10th, 11th, and 12th again is responsibility. Working steps 1 through 9 in the moment for the rest of my life. Continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, promptly admitted it. I may never be prompt. It takes me 3 years to admit I'm wrong. I'm from a perfectionistic family. And 12 is charity. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry the message to people who are still dying and suffering. To practice these principles, values in all my affairs. Workaholism, eating disorders, gambling, whatever my addictive processes are. I want to close with a quick story about boundaries. A friend of mine I owe $1,400 to. His name is Ivan. He does seminars all over the world. He was waiting in an airport, and he came in. He saw a lady there. He also, it was real crowded. Someone was selling some cookies, and the cookies smelled good. And he doesn't know about boundaries or what I do or anything. So I was thinking maybe he had a little eating disorder going on here. Anyway, so he checked in. He bought a little bag of 5 cookies. He sat down. He got his newspaper out next to this lady. It was the only empty space. And he started to read his newspaper. Pretty soon, doggone, he looked over. It's kind of out of the side of his mouth, and she's getting into his bag of cookies. Can you believe that? He says to me. Almost. He says, can you believe? I said, God, no, where was this? He said, in France. I said, France, that explains it, you know. No, it doesn't explain it. So then he took a cookie. And then he continued reading his newspaper. And then he looks over and she's taking another cookie. He said, Dawn, can you believe this? God, I said, no, I can't believe this, Ivan. This is incredible. So then it's time for him to take his flight. So he gets up to leave. He folds up his newspaper. And he says, you know what she did as I was getting up to leave? I put the empty bag of cookies down. She picked them up, opened it up, and took the crumbs out and put it in her mouth. I said, come on, Ivan. He said, yeah, that's what happened. And so then he said, I got up to leave, and I know she was getting up to leave, and I started walking on. And what happens? He says, you know how something makes you want to look back? I said yes, but I didn't know what he was talking about. I was just trying to be nice to him. You know, I wanted to hear the story. So he says, well, I turned around to look back, and I noticed that my bag of cookies was where I was sitting. So when we're working with boundaries, be gentle. Be gentle and loving and kind to ourselves, our precious child within, and also be gentle and loving